Sonic the Hedgehog is directed by Jeff Fowler and stars Jim Carrey and James Marsden, and also features the voice of Ben Schwartz, who you may remember from Parks and Recreation. And this is based on the popular series of video games of Sonic the Hedgehog from Sega from the 90s and the early 90s and everything, and current generation. And in this story, it deals with Sonic the Hedgehog, who comes from a distant world where he's basically sent to Earth in order to escape from his home world being invaded or whatever. And after living there for about 10 years, he comes across James Marsden character, who's a police officer in this small Montana area, and they have to basically team up in order to get back the rings that open these portals to go to different worlds, and they have to make a journey to San Francisco to get them back. While on the way, they have to get away from the evil Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey. And a lot of shenanigans and hijinks ensue with this. Now, here's a little backstory. Now, I actually will admit that when I was a kid, I do remember the games of Sonic, but I'll admit that I didn't really get to actually own them or really play much of them when I was a kid. But I still remember them, like, from my friends. I played them and everything, and I know a lot. I know of the character and how much he's grown as one of the most popular Sega characters of all time.
Well, me being older than you, I grew up playing Sega. I owned a Sega Genesis, and this pretty much is the Mario of Sega.
Yeah.
Sonic is. And I owned every one of them. I was addicted to them. I played them every day when I got home from school. So I really wanted to see this happen. So.
Yeah, and they actually, I believe there was a period where they actually, I think, had a script for this at one point, or they talked about for years trying to do a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and you could tell that, at least when the movie was coming out, that this really felt like a movie that would have been made in the 90s. Because if you remember the 90s, when we had the Super Mario Brothers movie, I guarantee this movie would have came in right after that movie did.
Yeah, because this movie was made by the same company. Original Films, whatever.
No, that's a different company.
I thought that company did Mario.
No.
The Original Films or whatever.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure it did, but I don't know.
But just the feeling of it felt like this could have came out in the 90s. And we've been in this kind of like resurgence with a lot of video game movies coming out and everything. So I got interested, but I will admit, last year when we got that first trailer, I was not excited for this movie.
Yeah, if you realize this movie last year was actually supposed to be a last year movie. It was supposed to come out, I think, November.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a 2019 film, and the controversy is on the trailer being released on how bad Sonic looked, pushed it off to this year.
Yeah, and they had to do a lot of redesign for him.
$60 million.
Or something like that, yeah. So basically, they had to redo his image because, I'll admit, when I first saw that trailer, it looked pretty fucking bad. Because that did not, for me, and a lot of fans of the games remember, they flat out said that, this didn't look like Sonic. And so Paramount, they actually listened to the fans for once and actually were like, okay, we're going to actually listen to the fans and actually do a redesign for them, and we're going to push it back, work on the effects. And from the first trailers we got from this coming out sooner, they actually did a lot better job, and I was actually really impressed.
Yep.
And what really got me interested with the trailers the most, because I'm such a huge fan, and I'm so glad to see that he's come back to doing his usual thing, Jim Carrey playing Dr. Robotnik. Because I'm such a big fan of Jim Carrey, I miss the classic Jim Carrey era. And when he used to do like that usual shtick that he does with his physical comedy.
With his like Ace Ventura.
The Mask. Dumb and Dumber.
I would go more with...
Or Batman Forever.
Yeah, the Riddler feel. He goes with that. Anyways, it goes back to... getting Jim Carrey back into motion pictures and doing his comedy stitch that he's known for, and
that's what really got me excited the most. And upon seeing the film, I can honestly say, while we'll get to our pros on Jim Carrey in a moment, but I gotta admit, this was actually one of the most surprising films of 2020 that I did not expect.
Yeah, this is definitely a big surprise for 2020 for me. One of the biggest surprises, because if you guys have followed suit, video game films in the past have done terrible, and when movies that ain't video games that kind of remind me of this kind of like approach they went with, You had
Alice,
Alvin
the Chipmunks, the Smurfs.
The Smurfs and all that. So I felt like, it was going to end up like that. And upon seeing the film, I was actually blown away how good this was.
Yeah, I was really impressed, actually,
And the source material was handled very well.
Yeah, and while I'm not really and to get my pros out of the way, while I'm not the biggest familiar with at least the games, like story or anything, or at least some of the, like, elements, I still followed a lot of the references they did with the games, and I actually really appreciate that they did a lot of great service to the games.
They did. The service to the games was handled very well. We get a theme song from the actual game, which is pretty cool that I saw later in the film. Some of my other service things I got to give them. The rings looked awesome. The green hill that they live in Montana is just like the first level of the games.
And then they also, not to spoil anything, but there's a character they bring up that sets up for a sequel that will be also a part of the Sonic universe.
Yeah, which that was good to see, that character, because I grew up playing with that character too. And there's one I'm hoping they'll eventually bring they didn't have in here. I'd like to see eventually in the series if they keep going, if this makes money. But other things I like to praise is they did the Dr. Robotnik looked very well done. Like, he was spot on. Sonic, he was spot on to how he looked, his shoes, everything.
Yeah.
His demeanor, his
comedy.
When he speeds up and lights up and goes real fast. It was just like the game. And when they opened it up where he's in that world, I liked how they had the loops and all that stuff.
That reminded me of Doctor Strange with the whole portals and shit.
Let's see what else.
I also got to appreciate, with the way the story goes, while it is very, we'll get to our cons later on this, while it is very derivative of a lot of other films, I did appreciate the fact that you're really following Sonic with him pretty much trying to adapt to this world.
Yeah, well, because the whole thing is he wants to have friends, he wants to have a family, and he can't do that because he has to be hidden.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed the story.
Especially how
the story is. It's been done before. This is very unoriginal, but it's still played out. I enjoyed Sonic's chemistry with James Marsden's character.
Yeah,
I thought that it was cute, it was adorable, and it was fun, and it was funny. So that being said, another thing I like to say: the performances by everybody. The voice actor of Sonic was done really good. He did a great job. Jim Carrey really steals most of the show. Him as Dr. Robotnik is freaking, oh my god, he was amazing.
It was like classic Jim Carrey.
Yeah, classic Jim Carrey, but he also doesn't go over the nutshell he could have went with this, where it fucks up a little bit. He actually kept his character tone with the evilness.
Yeah, he's basically the equivalent, a more kind of toned down version of, say, the Riddler from Batman Forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Similar, but kind of a little more toned down.
Because there's some parts where he gets serious and dark.
Yeah.
And the way he wears the costume, the mustache, everything is fucking spot on. Especially at the end, where I'm not going to spoil anything, where he ends up at the end of the movie. He gets the classic look, bald.
Yeah.
And man, they fucking nailed it with the goggles and shit and all it. Even the spaceships looked the fucking same. Yeah. It was awesome, but
the other appreciation I love too is the humor. The movie was actually funny. It was actually funny a lot of parts. Yeah. Now, besides the Jim Carrey stuff, that was already fucking gold right there. Yeah. Especially that whole scene where he's doing the little dancing while he's looking for Sonic and stuff. And
one of my favorite scenes has to be with Jim Carrey where he's doing his classic funny shit where he has this virtual reality thing going on.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
And he's running towards this T-Rex, and then he makes his head go
a head,
and he's like, do that, and then he goes whoop. This shit fucking was hilarious because you know how Jim Carrey's known for his body movements, and he can make. Oh my god, his body movements are just classic. He does it so well in this movie.
But I also gotta love the humor that Sonic gives too, especially one of the other highlights is the parts where, because I don't know if this was actually a common trait from the games, but there's a couple parts where he does the whole, if you remember from like the X-Men movies where Quicksilver, when he like pauses time and he's able to like move at a fast but still have everyone slow down.
Yeah, it started in Days of Future Past, but then like it became a trait that they had to have it in every film, and those are always my favorite parts of the X-Men movies.
Quicksilver.
So they do this twice in this movie with Sonic, and it works out perfectly.
Yeah, because there's parts where he's moving around, he's having guys like punch each other.
Because they go to this biker bar, and a fight breaks out, and whenever that starts going on, he's having to slow down because James Marsden's character is about to get his ass handed to him by all these bikers.
Yeah.
So he starts fucking doing like the shit where he wedgies one, and makes these two like punch each other. Yeah,
and puts one in like toilet paper.
It's pretty
hilarious.
funny. Yeah,
and I gotta admit, like not just the CGI for Sonic, but I also like some of the other little like things they bring in, like with all the Dr. Robotnik's like little gadgets and stuff, and like little robots that go out.
That's what I'm saying. It pays so much like respects to the games. I remember playing against Dr. Robotnik, and he would have all them little bomb things.
Yeah.
And they did so well because they look identical to the fucking game. So you could tell that unlike Smurfs and all that other dumb shit, there was a lot of
care.
There was a lot of heart and care put into this film. So
it was,
and I think that's the most important thing you have to have if you want to.
It was a good balance.
If you want to create these video game type movies.
Yeah, if keeping a good balance would by not only appealing to the games but also to as a standalone movie too. And I think it works in both ways.
Now all the other side characters like James Marsden's wife and all them, they all did very fine. There was nothing I had no issues. But other than that, going into cons, do you have anything?
Yeah, I will say that, like we were saying earlier, the film is very, like,
you've seen this story.
You've seen this type of, like, fish out of water story where person comes, they're having to adapt and everything, and shenanigans happen, and it's very, you pretty much know how the story pays out by the end of it and everything.
Like, you'll walk in, watch the movie, and in the first 10 minutes, you'll know the whole entire structure.
Yeah,
and that is a safe way of doing it, and it's still a good story overall. It's at the same time, it can kind of bother you knowing that you know how it plays out.
Yeah, and I did have at least going into the story, I did feel like the way that they build it, like they bring Sonic into the world, I wish they could have maybe spent a little more time with, at least in the beginning of it, because they did kind of throw us in there with like doing a quick backstory with them and then throwing us into the world. It would have been cool to kind of do just a little bit more to kind of build things up a little bit.
And here's one that I don't think is really a con. I would love to have seen this. It was just like a missed opportunity since they did bring the actual starting theme of the Sonic games in it. They couldn't do the one where you meet Dr. Robotnik, where you fight him. There's this one theme they've had in every game they've ever had that I know I've played, and it had that theme, and they didn't use it, and I was like, damn, that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah. But with that being said, though, I will admit, this is actually one of the better video game movies I've seen, probably. Well, in my opinion, I think I actually kind of like this a little better than Detective Pikachu from last year.
Yeah.
Even though I enjoyed that one, I still feel like this one, because it had a lot more rounded humor, and there was things with the story I kind of got into a little more.
And I think that Jim Carrey as the villain was so fun. I would probably really put this over Detective Pikachu. Not saying anything bad about that.
No, it was still good.
Ryan Reynolds held his own in that film. I just felt like there was more people to work with in this.
Yeah, there was more to it that I think that they did things a lot more a lot, in my opinion, a lot more on a better level, so to speak. But with that being said, I did enjoy this film, and I am anxious to see what they would do with this if they make a franchise. Because I would love to see other video game movies that classic characters, if they do a reboot of Mario or things. I would love to see them do more like this.
A lot of the times, movies like these get criticized because, and I agree with this criticism a little bit, is we get the creature always ending up in our world.
Right, I understand it's overused, and believe me,
I would like to see the sequel take place
in their world.
And I would also like to see other levels of the game.
Yeah, do more of that, because if you're going purely based on the game, they could probably do it more for the sequel.
Like, in the games, Dr. Robotnik gets so powerful, he creates his own, planet of stages and worlds.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that maybe attempted in the sequel.
Yeah. So with that being said, I actually had a lot of fun with this.
It was
With
a
that,
big surprise.
I'm going to give the movie a compelling grade on the Film Freaks meter.
Yeah, compelling grade and Film Freaks meter as well.
Fair enough. For those of you who have also seen Sonic the Hedgehog, let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel. And check us for other reviews here and our website at filmfreaks.com. And we'll see you in our next review. We'll see you later.